Alright, CNT140, we're continuing Chapter 12 here. We were running close on time on the last podcast, so I'm just going to back up real quick. They were mentioning color coding here, color code of fiber, okay? I pulled up from our standard the color code that we should be using, and they tell us here the connector strain relief or adapter housing should be the following color code. And the idea is, as I look at the connection point for the fiber, the connector body, that should be a clue as the type of fiber it is, as well as the wavelength of light that we're connecting to. That way I should not be interconnecting the wrong thing. Kind of like plugging the wrong cord into an outlet or something like that. I want to make sure that my fiber is getting connected to the correct light source and the correct type of fiber. So the standard gives us a color code to do that, to avoid those problems that we would have. And then I put in here a reminder of our connectors, our different types of connectors. Hopefully you should remember this from 120 or earlier this class, but if not, here's a reminder. Early fiber connectors were ST. This is like a little mini twist lock that you click twist lock on. Here's what it looks like from the end. And then a lot of systems moved to SC as the next one. A little square plug that you just kind of friction fits in. Here's your SC kind of from the end. Okay. And then a lot of systems moved on to MTRJ. We even have some switch ports in our lab that are MTRJ fiber connection. And this had a connector body that both fibers send and receive went into one whole connector here. If you look at those two little dots there, they almost look like little noses on little nostrils on the end of a pig. Those are the two fibers send and receive. So both fibers in one little connector body. The most common one and prevalent right now is the LC connector right here, this guy down here in the corner. This one I have, again, two little fibers in the space of basically the MTRJ, but they're individual little connectors. So I don't have two in one connector themselves, they're separate, and then the connector body kind of clips them together. That's the very common one that we encounter right now. Make sure you recognize these, make sure you can match them up. Be able to identify them, match them up. Then they talk about installing fiber, and as I'm installing fiber, a couple things. First thing they mention is you need to be pulling the fiber by the strength member, using these strength fibers on the inside. And I grabbed a picture or two here to show you. You would actually pull those strength fibers out and tie them into either a swivel or a pull eye. Here's a swivel mechanism. Here's the pull eye, and I have kind of an example here to show you. The pull eye itself, you typically have some kind of loop that you can tie onto your strength fibers, and then usually some kind of shield or plastic shield or mesh bag that goes around the connectors or terminations that you do have to protect them. And then I actually tie a pull rope onto this guy here. So that's what they're getting at when they're saying, hey, pull by the strength fiber, not the jacket itself or not the fibers themselves. That's what you're getting at. And they also tell you, hey, unspool directly off the wheel. Don't pull it off the side. So prop it up and gently roll it off the reel. Absolutely. And then as I'm stalling, if I have to leave some on the floor, do the figure 8 on the floor. You're not going to loop it around your arm. Some people tend to want to do that when they're like rolling up extension cords and all. Not this stuff. You need to gently, carefully lay this on the ground at figure 8 so you don't have any kinks or unnecessary bends. And then reminder, as you're installing this stuff, watch your bend radius, watch your bend radius, watch your bend radius when dealing with installing fiber. They also mention don't leave it unsupported. Yep, get it up in your cable trays, and then do not cover it with heavier copper cables. Don't lay fiber on the bottom and pile the copper cables on top. So either do like they're showing here in your cable tray, they have bundles and they're separating them, or even more so, a lot of times fiber optics is installed in what's called inner duct. Inner duct kind of reminds you of like swimming pool hose. That inner duct gets installed in the tray, and then you carefully pull the fiber through the inner duct. That gives you a low friction pathway, but it also gives you protection that if these cables are put in here sloppily, you don't have the weight of all of them laying on top of the fiber. It's the inner duct that would protect the fiber inside. So you would commonly see this installed for the fiber, or even in the tray for the fiber to go through. I have a sample of that in our cabling lab room. I have a sample of that in one of the trays in our cabling lab room. Yeah, do not try to pull. Try to pull without splicing. Pull the cable in place and try not to splice it in. And Yeah, they talk about multi-motives typically pulled and installed terminate on site, but they do actually have pre-terminated cabling systems that are becoming popular, and that's what this back here is for. If you have terminations already, I can actually get a pull eye to protect all those and carefully pull them through something like your inner duct here, and then actually pull eye off, that sleeve off, and then literally just plug all those connections into your switches. And there should be the end of Chapter 12 for you.